All right, so I think we're pretty much all set. Hopefully, everyone can hear us. If not, there were a couple of call-in numbers and some directions there. Good morning to everyone. Thanks for joining me this morning for Google Sites. Like I said, hopefully we'll get some things that'll help you get started. Google Sites is a great tool to get information out to the parents, maybe your students and people you can't really see right now. I'll just go ahead and we'll talk about sites for a minute. Just a couple of the advantages of using sites. And like I said, we won't spend a lot of time on it, but in case you weren't sure, what do sites do? These are some of the questions that I usually get. So we can certainly post up information, things about homework, which pretty much everything is right now. Maybe any notes you have, answer keys, maps, whatever you want to post, you can use Google Sites for. People don't have to sign in to be able to see them. And I like the new Google Sites, and I kind of put it in quotes because they still call it the new Google Sites, even though it's been around for a few years. I think it came out in 2016 or 17. But it is very easy to use. You can easily add anything that you have on your Google Drive, docs, slides, videos, and a whole bunch of other things. So sometimes people too also ask me, well, should I use a Google Site or should I use Google Classroom? Both are really good tools. You could use both. The main differences and advantages I kind of highlighted for you. With sites, you can share with everyone and no one needs to be able to sign in. So people can just see what's on your website. And with both of them, you can post materials, make announcements and such. Classroom, the biggest advantage is you're kind of working with students and it makes it really easy for them to submit work back to you. So if you give them anything, you want to get anything back, you can go ahead and get that back easily without worrying about sharing and such. Sites, you can get things back as well. You could use something like a Google form, which we're doing a webinar on tomorrow, if anyone's interested in that. So let's just actually look and see what a site looks like, and then we'll go ahead and actually go ahead and create one. So I'm just going to drop out of these slides for a moment. And I'm just going to click on this. This is a site that I did actually on Staff Development Day back in November. If I go to the home button here. So this was just a few pages, sample site, and we'll see how I did all this in a couple of minutes. Really just, I kind of have a home page or a welcome page that welcomes people to my classroom or whatever it is. So you might see what that is. I have another button or page for resources. I'm going to click on that. I just want to point out one thing on the resources. So when we're using sites and I'm sharing things from my Google Drive, I have to be a little bit careful with permissions and who has the right to view things. Like this is a slides presentation, you have no problem seeing that. This is a form, you have no problem seeing that. Over here, it says I need permission. So if I was logged into my account where I made all this, I would have permission because I own this document. But when I look at it for parents or send it out to everyone, they'll get this, need permission. We're going to talk about that towards the end of the webinar so that you don't encounter that problem. And we'll also talk about ways you can prevent that from happening. All right, but without further ado then, let's get started and see how we start a Google site. So I'm going to just open up a new tab. And what I usually do is I go to google.com first. So, and I also usually use, in fact, to do the new Google sites, you have to use the Chrome web browser. It doesn't work in like Internet Edge or Microsoft's Edge and other browsers. You really have to use Chrome browser. So I'm just going to go to Chrome browser and go to google.com. If I wasn't signed in, I'd see the blue sign in button. So you just have to sign in. I would use my school account because you have unlimited space. You have a lot of advantages to using your school account, but you can make a site. Site is with any account. So even if your school doesn't have Google accounts, you can still make a Google site. So since I'm signed in, with my account, I hit on these dots here, the Google Tools, Chicklet, Waffle, whatever you want to call it, and I'll look for sites. So here's the sites tool down here. I'm going to click on it. And it comes up and it wants to create a site in Sites Classic. Sites Classic was good for its time, but it kind of looks older and it's not nearly as easy to use. So if yours comes up and looks like mine, you're going to want to click on this new Google Sites button down here in the lower left corner. I'm going to click on that. And now I have the opportunity to make a new Google site. If you haven't made any before, you won't see any. These are the existing Google sites that I might have worked on in the past or any ones that I have. So if I wanted to update a site, I would find it in here. I'm going to assume that you don't have one and you want to start a new one. So to do that, you use this plus button down here in the bottom right corner. It says create a new site. So I'm going to click on that. And it goes ahead and opens up a blank site. The first thing I usually do is give it a name. So you might see how it says untitled site, and it also says site name. Either one of these places, you can write the name of your site. So I'm just going to call it demo for this. And I'll call it 4.1 because that's today. And as soon as I either hit enter or click off of it, it automatically updated the name of my site, and I'll be able to see that. I'll say got it for this. And we'll just look around the interface a little bit. For the most part, the new sites makes things pretty intuitive. Wherever I mouse around on the page, I'll have different things that come up. So for example, if I mouse over here, it gives me the opportunity to change my page title. And as soon as I clicked in there, you might notice that some of these text type tools came up. So depending on what I click on, I'll get a different toolbar. If I was on a picture, I'd have picture tools. So right here, I can name my page. Maybe I want to call it my classroom, or maybe you want to call it something like 5-1 or 6th grade, whatever you teach and whatever you want to call your page. I mean, I could do some other things, like I said, with font and such. If I ever did something I didn't mean to do, undo and redo are right up here. So don't be afraid to experiment around. And also, anything I do doesn't get seen by the public until I hit that publish button. So even if my site was already posted, maybe I already had a basic site up, I can make all the changes I want. Nobody else sees them until I hit that publish button. All right, but you might notice a couple of other things in here. It says something about change image. I can just go ahead here. This is going to change maybe the background image for my class. I can hit the drop down. I can either upload one from my computer or that I have saved somewhere, or I can select one of theirs. I'll just click on the select, and you can see the ones they have in their gallery. If there's anything that you like, maybe we'll pick this beach one and we'll select that. And it automatically adjusts. It's going to do that even if you put up your own picture. So it takes a couple of minutes and it kind of changes it so the font is a little bit more readable and such. It has a couple of more options here. This header type, if you want this to be a bigger picture or a smaller picture, but I usually don't worry too much about that. Let's just look around at a little bit of the rest of the interface though, so that you can get to building content and putting things on your page. So we already talked about undo and redo button. And if you're ever not sure, just mouse over like I did, and it tells me this is the redo, my last selection. This next one is the preview button. I'm going to take a moment to click on that. That'll show me what my site looks like to everyone else before I publish it. So if I click on preview, you can see what my site is going to look like. Right now, it's not all that impressive. We just put up a title. You can also, though, this toolbar appeared at the bottom. And this will show me how it's going to look on someone's phone, because a lot of people might just be looking at your site on their phone. So I click on phone. This is how it looks on a phone. This is the tablet view. And when I want to go back to continue editing, this is the computer view again. If I want to go back and continue editing, I just hit this X, drops me out of that preview mode, and then I'm back into this editing mode. Just finishing going across the top, this link tool, that's where my website is found. So if this is a brand new site, I don't get that. Right now it's gray because it's not posted yet. As soon as I publish, it'll give me that link address where it is. I can send that out to parents. I can maybe send it to my school webmaster and say, hey, I have a new class page. Can you hook it up so it's connected to the school website? This Person Plus is where I can invite collaborators, people that maybe edit the site with me. So maybe we do just make, one site for the entire, say, 7th grade. I want all the 7th grade teachers to be able to collaborate with me. This is where I could do that. Gear we won't worry about right now. The buttons I wouldn't worry about right now either. And the publish button, like I said, when I'm done with my site and it's ready for people to see, I'll hit the publish button. So how do I get content in though? That's what these tabs are about down here. So this insert tab is probably where most of the action happens. That's where you're going to be able to put things in like text with a text box, pictures with the image. That'll actually upload from my computer. So if I don't have an image on my Google Drive, I can upload any picture. Google Drive, you can put in documents, maybe PDF documents, movies, anything that you might have saved on your Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Slides, of course. Embed, I don't usually worry about at this point. layouts. This will give you an idea of how your page can look. So if you want your page to have an image and then some text under, you can use the layouts, but we'll see how that works in a couple minutes. And then these are some other features that you can use that we might not worry about just right now. Another little trick though that I like to use if I am over here in my space, if I just double tap, I get a wheel of the most common things. So even if you don't want to go back and forth from this insert menu over to here, if I just double tap anywhere, the wheel of common tools comes up. So that's the image, the text tool, upload tool, or Google Drive tool. So they could be right here at your fingertips. We'll put some things on our page in a couple minutes. The next tab I want to talk about though is pages, because you might wonder, hey, how do I get more than one page in my site? Right here with pages. If you come down to the plus button, it gives you the opportunity to create new pages or to link to other sites. So even in my navigation, it doesn't even have to be pages that I made. It could be links to other people's sites and pages. And themes is a little limited, but I'll click on it. If you want to choose one of these, you can choose a different theme, but there is just limited choices. So let's go back to the insert button though, because I think that's where most of the action happens for you. So let's just say I want to work on my home page. And I'll grab this text box. I'll say, welcome to my page, our page, something like that. Hope that you're doing well. You could also paste in if you like, but you notice I made text. I have options to make bold. I can make things a little bit bigger. I have limited choices, but I could make things bigger and smaller using this drop down. I could center text with this next tool over here. You can hit it and you see how the drop down comes up. If I wanted to put links to other pages, that's this link. This is going to put a hyperlink to another document, maybe another site. I say, hey, maybe you might want to check out BrainPop. I can make a link to BrainPop right here. Different from this link up here. This link is the one that tells people where my site is. All right, so let's put that one in. Let's actually put a couple of other things in. Maybe I'll use the shortcut wheel by just double clicking. And if I wanted to upload a picture, I could hit this. It'll show me my computer. I can upload pictures from there. I have some pictures on my Google Drive though, so maybe I'll click on the drive. And it'll show me some of the things in my Google Drive. Google has been a little slow lately. There's a tremendous amount of users on it that, over the last couple of weeks. And okay, good. So I'll just look in my samples here. If I wanted to put up some kind of picture or formula sheet, here's a little picture. Maybe I'll put this picture up. So I've just clicked on the thing that I want to put up, and I'll hit insert. And it's going to throw it over here. But don't worry, I can move things around. Maybe I'll even just throw up another image or document. So I'm going to use Drive again. And I'm just going to grab, say, this PDF of circular formulas. I'll insert that too. And you can kind of see how it made things pretty easy. I just went to Drive, clicked on the thing I wanted, and it inserted. I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. And you might say, well, that's nice, but it kind of looks like a jumble of things. Well, it has a nice drag and drop interface. When I click on things, notice how I got these resize handles. So I could go ahead and resize this document if I'd like, make it as big or as small as I need. I can also put things together. So maybe I want to tell people what this is. So I kind of forgot to label it. I'm going to grab text box, and I'm going to say, here's formulas or area or whatever it might be. I'm just going to put that in. All I did was hit my text box. I typed, and it's not exactly right, but what I can do is I can go ahead and click. Notice how my cursor changes shape. If I click on this box, I don't need it to be this wide. And now it's kind of a two-headed arrow. I'm going to click and hold, drag it down to a more reasonable size. And really just by, oh, that's a little too much. And really just by moving things around, the interface is pretty smart in that it'll figure out what I want to do. So I'm going to hit the four-headed arrow. I'm going to move this, and I'm going to link it with this. And you notice how I have the solid blue bar? This is going to put the text on the top. Or maybe I want to make it like a caption and put the text on the bottom, or the text on the side. I'll put it on the top though. And it kind of automatically attached these together. Now these two things move around as a group. So now I have a four-headed arrow, and I can go ahead and move this over to here, and that moves together. So really just dragging, dropping, make your page look the way you'd want it to. And maybe I want this picture, maybe I meant to have this underneath or something. So I can go ahead and do something like that. Now all three of these things are grouped together and they will move around as one unit. So it makes it pretty easy to make your page look nice in a hurry. You might wonder, hey, what if I made a mistake? I didn't want this picture grouped on with these other two. Well, that's not a problem either. If I just click on the big grouping of it, you kind of see how I have everything selected. It's a big group. I can even resize everything as a big group, kind of make everything bigger or smaller together. And it's a little bit laggy, but it'll hopefully catch up. So I'll wait a moment for it to stop. Okay, good. So it's caught up. And I was saying, what if you didn't mean to have all these things together? Well, if you click on it and you have everything highlighted, click on the part that you want to separate out. So if I just click on this bottom picture, notice how the blue kind of disappeared from the top half of this. This wasn't blue anymore. I can just click on this with a four-headed arrow and kind of pull this one away. And maybe I meant to put it over here as a separate one. And you might have noticed also it has these guidelines that come up, so it tries to keep everything lined up. So it's pretty easy to make maybe 2 columns if that's what you want. So it is pretty easy to use just by drag and drop. If you do prefer, it does have these preset layouts, so I can click on one of those just so you see what it looks like. And you kind of see how it made these areas. I can put anything in these areas that I like. I can just use the pluses. So some people sometimes like to do that as well. So you just know everything's going to line up if you use one of these layout tabs. You might also wonder, hey, what if I really didn't want that? Maybe I want to get rid of something. That's what these things on the side are about. So if I did set up one of these the way I like, I can always duplicate it with this duplicate section. If I don't like it, I can just delete. That'll delete everything that's in this blue rectangle. This whole blue rectangle will go away. And it has some limited color choices to make things stand out. So if I click on this palette here, I can do things like maybe make a little emphasis on this section. So it kind of makes maybe that section stand out on my page if I'd like. It turns out I don't really need this section at all, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. So really that's pretty much it. And really just either double click at the wheel of most used choices, use these from insert, click and hold, drag and drop, things go where you like. Another part of it though is you might say, oh, well, that's nice, but I don't want to just have a one-page site. And maybe you do just want to have a one-page site. One-page site is pretty simple. You could just put information on your homepage, welcome people, put some information underneath. But you can do more if you hit on this Pages tab. So in Pages, I'm going to go down to this plus, and I'm going to make a couple of other pages. So I just hit Page Plus, and it asks me to name it. And I'm just going to pretend that I teach math or something, and I'm going to go ahead and put in some topics, and maybe this will be a resources page. And if I say done to that, you'll notice right away it's going to go ahead and make pages. This didn't used to be here because now I have more than one page. So I have a home page and the resources page that I just made. Maybe I want to make some additional pages. So I'm going to hit this plus and I'm going to put formulas. So now it's going to make a formulas page. And maybe I want to go even a little more granular and make a pages for maybe circles and triangles or something. So I'll make even a couple more pages. Just doing that by hitting this plus button down here in the Pages tab. And the nice thing about this Pages tab is now I have these going all across the top, and that's nice, but these are really kind of probably belong under formulas, or maybe everything belongs under resources. I can drag and drop these as well. So if I wanted formulas to kind of show up underneath resources, I can do that. So I can just take formulas. Oh, I didn't mean to press on it so much. If I can just take formulas, click and hold, and drag it up onto resources, so it's just on top of it, just like this. Notice how it has this drop down and formulas is now under it. And on my page, resources has a little drop down arrow. So now formulas is in there. And maybe I even want the formulas for circles and triangles to be in there too. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag these on top as well. So just drag and drop. I really like that. It's very convenient. Now kind of the page is a little cleaned up. I can look in my resources. When I'm in my resources, I see formulas has a drop down, and here's these. So you can make as many pages as you like. You can always drag and drop, and you can say, oh, you know what? We're doing circles now, and I don't want the kids to have to go through these menus to find it. That's okay. You can actually just take your circles, click and hold, and just drag it and put it right next to the home button. Now circles is right there. Automatically done for you. If you did decide, hey, I don't need a page, I accidentally made a page, that's what these dots on the right are about. If I click on these dots, I have some other choices. I can go ahead and delete a page, or maybe I set up a page and I want to make more of them like that. That's what duplicate page is about. So if you set up a page, you put content on it, and you say, you know, I like this, I just have to change things, duplicate page might be a good option for you. All right, so that was how to make pages. And you might also wonder, oh, it's like, well, that's nice. I got all these pages here. How do I know which one I'm working on? You can just come to, if you're on insert or whatever, you click on pages, you click on the page you want to work on. Maybe I want to work on the circles page. I just go to here, I click on it, you see how it's going to turn blue. And now I know I'm on my circles page. And when I'm putting content in here, I'll just double click and I'll just put some text here. Now we are doing whatever. All right, so that's really kind of the basics of getting started. There's a couple of other things though I just wanted to point out, and a couple of things to be careful of, and then we'll turn it over for questions in a few more minutes. So you might say, well, that's great, Bill. I've worked on my page. I've got everything set up. How do I get people to look at it? That's what this publish button is about. So if I go ahead and click on the publish button, there's one thing I want to point out right here. I know there's a lot of people from Sachem and a lot of people maybe from other districts, and this is my BOCES account that I'm using. And you see how it says anyone can view my site? Anyone at Eastern Suffolk BOCES can manage my site? Well, first off, I don't really want them to manage my site. And second off, I want people in the world to be able to see it. I don't want just people that have a BOCES account to be able to see it, because what's going to happen right now is if anyone comes to the link of my webpage, it's going to say sign in with your, and it's going to mean BOCES account, but it'll say account. So I click this manage, and right now, right here in this first one, this first choice is where I could add people. So if I was working on this website with other teachers, I could hit this change button and I could add people to collaborate with me on the site so they can add content as well. But this one here, when I'm ready to publish, I don't want anyone at Eastern Suffolk BOCES can find and view. I want to change that. I want anyone to be able to find it because I want parents to be able to get to it. They might not have a BOCES account. So you want to change that publish when you're publishing. You do have another opportunity to do it later. So if you've already published your site and you encounter that problem, I'll show you where you can find that and fix it. So I'm going to hit save. So right now, notice how it changed. It says publish, anyone can find and view. All right, that looks good to me. I'm going to say done. It asked me about my site. I'm okay with what it picked, but if you want to change something, you can. The only thing you can change, it kind of tells you what my address is going to be. It's going to say sites, google.com/gafeboces.org. I can change what this last one looks like, but it kind of picked it from the name of my site, so I'm good. Okay, publish. And now you notice that this link that was gray before now is highlighted. So now I actually have a link to my site. I can copy this. I can send it to my webmaster, and they can go ahead and do that for me. You might have noticed too, the publish button, it kind of added a little drop down. Now that it's a published site, I can hit this little drop down and I have a couple of other options. Most of the time I don't bother with those, but let's just say I've published my site. It's out, people can look at it, they're using it. And I want to come back to my circles page and add, maybe next week's lesson, or maybe add some more information to it. I can do that at any time. The site that they're looking at stays the same until I hit this publish button again. So for example, if I start adding some more things, maybe I'll just double tap here and I'll just go ahead and add some more text. Next week we are going to try this. I put up my content. They don't actually see this until I hit the publish button. And you also might wonder, hey, has it saved? It's just like the other Google products. Things automatically save for you if I were to close out of this, come back in a couple of days, add more material. This is saved for me. They don't see any changes until I hit the publish button. But let's say I finished everything. I added up next week's content or the content, and I want to make the world be able to see it. I'm going to go back to my publish button, and it's going to go ahead and show me what I did and what's different from the old site and what I'm doing. So this is currently published, is what's up on the web that everyone else is looking at. This draft is what I'm working on, and I can actually just kind of double check. Hey, is this what I want to do? I want to add, I can see this is new. Yeah, this is what I meant to do. If it is what I meant to do, I can hit publish. If it's not what I meant to do, it wasn't completely ready, I can hit this back arrow. So it's good. I'm going to hit publish. We'll let it go ahead and publish that change. And now the world is seeing my next week's lesson and materials. After I publish, what I usually like to do, sort of as a double check to make sure everything is the way I expect it to be, is I usually like, since you're using Chrome, if you're using a Mac, I have to go to the File menu, which you probably can't see right now. But if I go to the File menu, I can launch up an incognito window. And then I usually check out my website from the incognito window. We can look at that a little bit more if anyone wants to see that. Um, but before we do that, I wanted to talk about materials that I put up and sharing and such. So if you remember back on this home page, I put in this document. And when I preview it, let me hit preview, it looks fine to me because I'm signed in. This document, I do not believe is shared with anyone. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. And I could even show you what it looks like in an incognito window. But if anyone else were to look at this, they're going to get something like request permission. It's going to have that request permission from Google error or message up there. And if people request permission, what's going to happen is you're going to get an email that says this person's requesting permission. And then you'll get a bunch of those from parents or whoever's trying to look at your picture that they can't see. So I'm going to switch over here to my Google, or maybe I'll just open a new tab. So I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to go to my Google Drive. So I'm just going to hit on my tools, and I'm going to go to Drive. And I'll give you a couple of tips of things that I like to do for things that I'm going to put on my website. Because right now, I know I grabbed that document out of my classroom sample resources, and I can tell just by looking at this folder that that is not shared with anyone because there's not a person on this folder. So what I usually do in my Drive, if I'm going to be sharing things from my Drive, I usually make a folder for my website. And to do that, if you're in Drive, you hit this plus new button. And I'm going to make a new folder. That's the top choice. And I'm going to call this either for website. Maybe you want me to call it public. I figure if I put in for website, I know everything I put in this folder is for my website. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. And like I said, this is not something you have to do, but I like this as a tip because then you don't have to worry about the permissions and if people have rights to things. Then what I do almost right away in my for website folder, I right click on it and I get these share options. And then right here, it gives me the chance to share the folder with specific people. I don't want to do that. I want to go over to the advanced button. And you see where it says private, only I can access? I want to change that. And I usually change it to this second choice, on anyone with link, or you can use the top choice if you want to. The top choice lets people search on Google and find it. The second choice means Google isn't going to have it come up if they search, but anyone with link can find it. And I also like to check this other section right here where it says access anyone, no sign-in required, anyone can view only. That's a good setting. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And when I'm done, I can click done. And now you notice this folder has a person there. That tells me at a glance that it's shared with at least one other person. And I know because it's my website folder, it's shared with everyone in the world. Anyone in the world can get to it. So what I usually do in my for website folder, I double click on it. And then maybe I might make new folders in here if I want to keep organized. Maybe I want to make a folder for my circles, my triangles, or whatever. Or if you want to, depending on what you teach, however you want to organize. You don't have to organize it at all. You could just put everything in here. But I think rather quickly, it'll be tougher to find things. So I usually like to make folders. But by default, since I've already saved this for website and I know everything in here, anyone with a link can view. Anything I put in here automatically has that same property, and I don't have to worry about how things look. If you don't do that, if you don't do the for website, what you can do is I'd have to go back to the documents I was sharing, and I know it's in here, and I would have to make sure that the document itself has the correct properties. I'm pretty sure this is the folder I used. So I can share this one document. If I do almost the same thing, I right click, I hit share, I hit advanced, much like I did for that folder before. And there's only a couple of people that have access to it. This is because I put it in my Google Classroom, so it takes care of sharing for me. But I'd have to do it individually. So I really kind of recommend doing that, for website folder and keeping everything in there. And really, that's kind of how I would get started. If anyone wants to see, the Google error message, I could bring up that screen. But it'll look exactly like this. It's going to say this on my website. All right. I hopefully that's enough to get you started. I did want to open it up to questions and save time for questions for people, because I know you might have your site already, or maybe anything that I did, maybe it went too quickly or you wanted to see again. Feel free to ask any question you like. I know there might be some in the chat that I honestly wasn't paying as much attention to right now. So if there was anything that came up in the chat that people would like answered, I could go ahead and do that. Also, if I believe you have the ability to unmute yourself if you wanted to and are comfortable enough, just shouting out into the room, we can answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, there's quite a few questions, Bill, so you may want to unmute it. I know one of the first questions that came up was about a webmaster. If you're in two different buildings, how do you handle that situation? Like, who would be the webmaster? That was one of the first things that you mentioned.
Yes. Okay. So thanks. I appreciate you repeating that question. So if you're in more than one building and you have a web presence, like maybe on your school website, it says staff directory or subject, however it might get people to, to the faculty page. I would send it to both of those. If you're not sure who that is and you happen to be at Sachem, you can send it to me. I can tell you who that is probably. But if you're not at Sachem, I probably don't know who your webmaster is though.
And I think one other thing before people start asking questions also is basically just to go over, I guess, the difference between using Google Sites versus Google Classroom. I think that would kind of put a good hold on, or give people a good sense of what they can do with each particular resource.
Yes. So there's a lot of similarities between the two. If I taught the younger grades, if I was kindergarten, first and second, second can really use Classroom, but especially the younger ones, it's going to be the parents signing in anyway. So, I would just go with the Google site. You can put the material up on the website, whatever kind of activity, maybe web links that you have, videos, things that you want the students to watch. And it's very easy for parents to just kind of click on them, see what they are, and do the activity. The biggest advantage of using Classroom, though, is everyone kind of signs in as themselves. And then you can also ask them to mark things as done. Like if you just put it up on the website, that's more of a one-way kind of communication. You say, hey, do this, but you don't really have any indication that they actually looked at it or did it. In Google Classroom, even if you just put up something in there that says, hey, watch this video, and then mark as done, there's an indicator on the right side of the screen of Classroom that says, I've completed this task. We can call up a Classroom screen if you want to see that. The only little bit of difficulty with that is you have to get everyone into your Google Class. So sometimes I like to use a combination of things. Maybe I'll just put some material up on my Google site. I could even put in my class code. If you know anything about Classroom, like code is one way, class code is one way students can join in. So I could just put my class code or codes, if I'm a secondary teacher, maybe I have 5 classes, I can put my codes. Hey, if you're in period 1, join with this code. Period 3, join with this code. So it is a good way to get information out. And Sites is really so easy to use. I would definitely use both. I would just say, hey, here's information on the site. And, even if it just gets people in your Google Classroom so that you can, get work back and forth, return things back to students. Because right now Sites, if you only have a site, people almost have to email you things back to let you know they did them.
I just want to piggyback on your response, Bill, which I thought was great. I just wanted to say that if you have older grades, it's great to use Google Sites not only as a teacher page, which is something you can also think about doing, where you would introduce yourself and then keep materials that you're not normally sending out every single day in Classroom. Like rather than cluttering up your classroom with like your syllabus, you can always keep that on a Google site. And then if you have new students that come in, you can just direct them to the site so they can kind of catch up to where you are. And the second thing would be to also use Google Sites for project-based learning or portfolio work. It's great to have your students give them assignment and have them collect data, insert graphs, add particular Google Docs with their conclusions on it for science projects or other things. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And if you do want to only use Sites too, so you don't have to deal with email, you could share a folder with your class. You could share a folder where people could kind of put work or put questions and things. So you can still use Google and share your folder with people, and it doesn't necessarily have to be email, but it's not as clean of an interface, I guess, as Classroom would be. And I see a question quick up there, and I did mention about contacting your building webmaster. Also, a lot of times your principal kind of might be your building webmaster. So if you do make a new site and say, hey, I created this, can you link this up to our school site? If you send it on to your principal, they can either get it to the webmaster or, in the case of Sachem, they use Syntax. They can actually send it to the Syntax people, and they'll actually connect it up for you. You just have to send them the link to your websites. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip ahead. Were there some other questions?
Bill, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Kathy Shivers.
Oh, hello. How are you doing?
How are you? Good, good. Listen, I just have a couple of quick questions. I have a Google site already established, and this morning I was playing around with it, and I know that it will not be what the parents and children see until I publish, but when I was messing around with a lot of the I guess I don't know what you call it, the actual add-ons that I put in, it would not refresh back to the original because I didn't like it. So I never saved anything, but I can't get back to the original. And that's my question. How do I get back? The back button wasn't working, the refresh button.
Yes, because anytime you make changes, it automatically saves for you. Like I don't think I think it happened so quickly, even if I take things out here. It didn't.
Bill, does the 3 buttons near the gear wheel up at the top have a version history? They do, right?
Right here.
Oh,
Okay.
I can go to that?
Yes. So if I click on that, I just started the site, so I'm not sure how much of a history we'll have, but I'm going to click on it so you can see. And it goes back and it'll show me what did the site look like.
Thank God. All right.
Started.
Okay.
So you should be able to see that to go back, and it'll actually even give previews because nothing happens. Like, let's just say I go back to the 907 version, and here it gives me the opportunity to restore this version. Or it's like, oh no, that's too far back. I need to go to this one.
Great.
All right.
I have 2 more questions, and then I'll let everybody else do it. But that circle that came up that had I don't know, it looked like a remote circle, on a remote control. You were able to. Yeah. How do you get that?
I just double click anywhere in my document, so it really gives me the shortcut to these insert. There's nothing wrong with going to insert and clicking over here, but most of the time you're probably in the in here. Double click wherever you are, and it brings up these.
All right. And one more question. When I am adding a link from an outside source,
yes,
how do I know if it's copyrighted or not, or does that matter?
No, I don't think
that have to.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, does that matter, or are we okay with just bringing it into our site?
Yeah, my understanding of that is, let's just say I'm going to open up a new tab, and let's just say I'm going to link to BrainPop or something.
Yeah, okay.
No, sorry. I'm just going to click on it. So I usually go and find the site. If there's anything that's copyright infringement over here that I'm linking to, it's really kind of BrainPop's problem. I'm just linking to something that's already on the internet. So I could just grab this, and this is what I usually do if I'm going to put in a link, because I don't want to have to worry about typing it correctly. I just go there first. I highlight up in the address bar. I just double click and get the whole address highlighted. I kind of right click, copy it. I come back to my site, and maybe over here I'll say, let's scroll up a little bit. I'll say, keep using this. I can go ahead and highlight the thing that I want to be a link. I hit the link tool here, the one that's on top of my text box, and I just paste in. So I can link to one of my pages, or I just right click and paste. Okay. And then now I have the BrainPop link, and that's all set. When people click on that, keep using this, they'll take them to the BrainPop site, or whatever page you want.
All right, I'll stop talking now, but you were excellent. Thank you.
Oh, sure thing. It's never a problem. Other people might have the same question, and I didn't really go into how to make a link to another page. The other way I could put BrainPop or something else, though, in Pages, if I hit this plus, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, let me see down there. If I hit this plus, well, I can get new link in there if I actually were to do it right. Now I got all these untitled pages that I have to delete. Or undo, I guess undo might work too. But I'm sorry, go ahead, next question.
Bill, it's Maria Schomber. I have a question about embedding. I'm not really sure what do you use that for and how I would use it.
Oh, so you're talking about insert here, this embed code?
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes some websites and things give you a way to build something in. Like if I made a YouTube video, it gives me an embed code. I could just click on this embed, and I could either paste in the code that it gave me on the website. So I could just right click and paste. I would have to copy the code from wherever I was getting it from and put it in there. Like Hiawatha has some, they do something with the Voki. You know, Voki gives you an embed code, and we just put the embed code in it. Instead of having to see the whole Voki website, you just see the thing that you want to see here. So if one of your other tools made something that says, hey, here's an embed code, that's how you'd put it in. I usually copy, hit this, paste whatever the code is, change it to embed, and then you're set.
Oh, can I add on to this, Bill?
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually use it. So if anyone ever uses Padlet.com or any websites where you have students sharing information, a link will direct them to that. So for example, if I tell my students, oh, go to Padlet.com and just share, let's brainstorm this lesson we just talked about today. And students have the ability to put up their own comments, and that's great. But if you embed the Padlet into your web page or your Google site, so to speak, you're able to then just have them do it right on the site. They literally just come to your Google site, you have a Padlet with a question up, and then rather than direct them to go to Padlet.com and to sign in or to access a code, they basically just put their comments up right on your Google site. And then you could go back to Padlet.com as the teacher, and you can, change the question, or you can you can pull things out of it, whatever you want to do. So it keeps that whole website that's strictly for your login on that Google site.
No, that's great. Yes,
I'm not good.
Thank you.
Say, Bill?
Yes.
Hi, this is Paul. And I teach music, and I'm always interested in interactive activities that are like embedded at the site so that they can, practice things. Is that part of the embedding, or would that usually just be easier accomplished with a link?
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the embed codes too, because then you just take the part of that web page that you want, and it's right here on my site. It almost even looks like looks like I put it there. So I think I like the embed code when it's available, because it kind of keeps kids on my page. They click on it right here, it gets them right to where they need to go. They don't have to, if you click the link that said go to this music page, maybe they might have to log in, or maybe they might have to navigate around that page and say, oh, it's down here, it's 3/4 down the first page.
So if you see the word embed on the material you want, that's when you know you can do it.
Yes. And since we're talking about embed codes, and like I said, the question and answer is for any that you have. So advanced question, beginner question is certainly fine. Sometimes with some embed codes, I have to put a div tag there. So I have to actually write the word div first. Well, I think I have to put div in these carets. It has to look like that. If I do that, then I paste in the code. I'm sorry, and I should do it with the embed code on. But if I put myself a div tab, just like that, I paste in what they gave me, so there's all, things that they gave me here. At the end of it, I just open, the less than sign. I do a /div. Sometimes it needs that to work. Sometimes you manually have to put this div and /div around you. So if you try the embed code, doesn't work, throw those in, and that usually fixes it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I might ask you again on that one in the future.
Yes. If you have trouble with that, you can certainly email me, or that's not a problem. We put our contact information up at the beginning of the webinar too, and I can put that back up at the end if anyone missed it, or we can give it to you in the chat if anyone didn't catch our contact.
Does that also apply to, say, like smart widgets and things you find, or the things that you created in the smart arena?
If they have embed, you can do it. I don't remember seeing those too much on the smart, but if you'd seen it, it should work in there.
Yeah. Well, usually you don't expect that kind of cooperation with platforms. So.
Yes. No. Smart does have its own thing that kind of works. They call it like SLO, Smart Learning Online, and they have some ways you can get your smart notebook lessons up on the web. So you can.
It sounds like the most important to use,
Someone has their TV on us.
Yeah, no, I thought about your question. I had trouble hearing whatever that was. But it's smart. If you look at Smart and their site, and maybe we'll do a webinar maybe over the next couple of weeks on the Smart Learning Online. If people do want to use their smartboard lessons and make them interactive, the kids can do that in a browser for free. I just wasn't really prepared to do that today. And plus, you know.
Oh, great. Keep that in mind.
Oh, sure thing.
Sure. Thanks.
Oh, thanks. And were there any other questions?
Yep. Bill, I had a question. How can you add other publishers to be able to add things and edit the website?
Yes, yes. So, oh, and actually, I'm glad you asked that too, because I kind of forgot to mention something. Well, maybe I did. This Person Plus. So, if you make a website for maybe the 3rd grade, you could do that. I hit the Person Plus, and it says a draft specific people can edit. I can hit change. Oh, yes, and you see where it says off specific people? I should be able to do that. Hold on. I'm not in the right place. Right down here. Sorry. Let me do that again. I'll say done here. So I hit the Person Plus, and I can invite people to be co-editors with me. So I have to type their whole email address with the @
Okay.
And so, like, if I wanted to invite like Kelly to edit this with me, I would say Kelly. And
Got
she's
it.
worked with
Yeah.
her before. So I need the whole @ So you need to put the @sachem.edu at the end of their name. So if you wanted to do the whole grade level, you could do that.
All right, great. Thank you. Got it.
Oh, sure thing. And actually, when you add them, it'll show up in their sites too. So if you were, when you're in, I'm just going to click on here. If I go to these dots, I go to sites. I have to go to new Google Sites. The people that you invited should see the site that you shared with them in here. It'll just show up right in there for them so they can click on it and work on it. The other thing they can do is if they actually go to your website, if it's published, they'll see a little pencil icon in the bottom corner of it. And they'll be able to edit. There'll be usually a pencil that shows up. They can click on that if you're signed into their account. All right, anything other questions?
Yeah, Bill, there's another one from Kristen. I'm trying to find it right now. It was in the stream. I mean, in the chat. In the stream. Oh, goodness. Oh, can you attach videos of yourself teaching, but attach them with a link so that the videos are password protected and limited access?
You could do that. I mean, so when I put anything on my site from Drive, I can do that. And even if you put your thing on YouTube too, you might notice down below there's even a YouTube link. But if you're concerned about it being private, I'm actually going to on this page, I'm going to hit this Drive because that's actually a pretty nice thing to do. Maybe just have a little message. You record yourself, with your phone even, and just record a little video. It says, hey class, hope everyone's doing well. Just wanted to check in with you. Just even like a 1 or 2 minute hello message, or maybe even just tell them verbally. What I'd like to do today is work on this, or that way it's kind of like they get to see you, and I'm sure they miss you guys. To do that though, I think I have a video somewhere. Here's a video. So here's a video that I have. So I'm just going to click on this video. I'm going to insert it just like I would any other tool. So I just went to, so to do that again, I just went to insert on my page. I went to Drive because I put the video in my Drive. I like to put things in my Drive that I'm going to put on my site. I hit insert. And now this video is kind of there for them to watch. Now that thing we were talking about before about permissions and Google Drive permissions, this video I haven't shared. I didn't put it in my For Website folder. So if I'm looking back at my Drive, if it's not in my For Website folder, this is the video I just added. I can right click on it. I can share it. And in the Advanced tab, I can say private only I can access. I change that and I can make it say on, and it could say anyone. And if you're in my Sachem account, it would say anyone at Sachem EDU can access. If you're in another district, you probably have whatever district you are here. So the kids kind of have to sign in with their Google account. If your school signed up to G Suite, they all have a Google account, and they'll be able to watch your video, but the whole world won't be able to watch your video. If you do not care and you just say, hey, anyone can watch it, I don't care if they sign in, set your video with anyone with link, or do that trick I said, with the folder. Make a folder that's publicly available on the web, and anything you put in the folder automatically gets shared. That's the only thing you just have to be a little careful of, if you want people to just be able to sign in and see your picture or see your, You can even make it for your documents. I mean, hey, I'm making a lot of material here. I don't want the world just to be able to take it. I want people to have to sign in. You can do that with documents and review sheets or anything else that you want to. Hopefully I answered your question. Were there any others?
There's a question on adding Google Forms.
Okay.
Question was, did you go over adding Google Forms into the website? Because the person came in late. So we didn't talk about that. I don't remember, but I was also manning the chat window, so I don't think I missed it.
Yeah, no, that's no problem. So I'll see if I can find a form. I'm sure I have a form somewhere. What I would do is I would make my form first. So I have a form somewhere sitting around in my Google Drive, and then I really would just put it in just like I did these other materials. I would just go to Drive, and I'll go back to my Drive here. I'm not sure if I have a sample form. I think I do. I'll look in this folder because I know there's forms in here. So I can tell kind of at a glance, that's a Sheets by the icon. This is a Google Doc. This is a Google Drawing. And I know this thing's a form. So if I wanted to, either this form, maybe this form, I'll just pick this one. I'll go ahead and insert that onto my website. And you can kind of see, here's a little quiz that I made up on how to use Google Classroom. And they could actually answer the quiz right here in the window when it's published. Or if I don't want them to see a preview of this, because I usually tend to like the way that looks. But if I did want to put these as links instead of being pictures, because as they're pictures, they get a little preview of what it looks like. But that does start taking up a lot of space on my page. Maybe I want to have a lot of other resource materials or such. What I can do is I can actually have a text box, here, and just say something about use this quiz or take this quiz. Or fill out the review sheet, whatever you might want to do. So if I do something like that, I have to go get the link to that form that I was just going to link in. And you can do this with anything. It could be a link to a video, anything that's in my Drive or on the web. So I'm going to click on my Drive tab. I'm going to go to where that is. So I'm going to go to my Drive. I think it's in this one. It was in here. And I think it was, here's this quiz. So I can right click on that, and or I can just double click it actually. So with the form's a little bit different. I have to, and I'm doing a webinar on forms tomorrow too. If you want to know how to fill out a form and use these, we can, but I'm just going to get the link to this. And to get the link to a form, I have to click on the send, click on this hyperlink tool, and I can just copy this right here. So now I have the link to my form. So I want to get the link to my form. I want to take it back over to my website. So I'm clicking on my website. See, it says take this quiz when you're done. So since I have the address now, I can say take this quiz. I'll highlight it. I'll hit this hyperlink button. I'll paste it in by right-clicking and pasting. I'll apply that. And now instead of having to see the quiz in the window, which you might want, but if you don't want it, now they have this, and they just have to click on here, and it'll take them right to that quiz. They'll fill it out. And like I said, the form is probably the toughest one to add because I had to do all those extra steps and hit the send. Most other things, like if I want to say watch this video, I could just go to my Drive. I could find a video, which I'll just get back to these. I know here's the video that I was looking at before. If I right click on it, I can usually get the shareable link. And it's warning me the link sharing is turned off because this is not in my for website folder. And it's actually even giving me a warning that this is not shared. So when I post this up to my website, I know there's going to be a problem if I don't start sharing this video. But we'll assume that I shared it. And I can just go ahead and here and paste this up. And I apply that, now they have, watch the video. And instead of seeing a preview of the video with the play button. I mean, if it's a video, I usually like it to look like this, but some people don't like it. It clutters up your page a lot. Maybe you just like to have links with underline. That's just another way of doing it. And like I said before, just be careful because this one I wasn't careful with. I know that these are not shared publicly, so I know when I hit publish, no one else is going to be able to see them. Were there other questions, or did anyone want to see what the page looks like if I publish it and show you what all those errors look like? Were there any other questions in the chat that maybe we didn't get to?
There was a suggestion for having this class again.
Oh, yeah, no, we can definitely do that. If anyone didn't get in didn't know about it, I did hit the record button, so we're going to post it up. It'll be on the BOCES website, and maybe I'll probably even put it in one of the Sachem pages too, because I know there's a lot of Sachem people joined us this morning. So it'll be there if anyone needs to watch it at another time. And really, it's not a problem. We could really do it again. Maybe we could do it again later in the week or next week.
Yes, with Q&A, which I think we had probably about 15 minutes so far of Q&A, right? I would think so.
Yes, and that's an idea too. Maybe later in the week too, we can just have a question and answer for Google Classroom, Google Sites, and all. I mean, if we make it too much, then there might be too many questions. Maybe we'll just make a Q&A for Google Drive and Sites. So we can do a question and answer. Maybe maybe we'll even do that Friday or something. Maybe I'll try and send something out or early next week. And so the replay, it's going to be available hopefully later today. Kelly, do you mind typing in the website where it is, or do you? You know what? I'll show you where it is. I'll just go up here. I'm going to hit plus here. I'll get a new tab up. If you go to esboces.org/ms, and I'll just give you the direct page. We can paste it, or maybe Kelly will paste it in if she gets there first.
I got something already in there. I got a link in there.
So if I go to this schools, hit virtual workshops, they're usually on here. So here's our upcoming webinars for the rest of this week. And underneath them are where recorded ones are that we've already done for the most part.
Might have one more question.
Oh, sure.
Typing away here.
Oh, I could just answer it if you want.
I didn't put it into everybody. Oh my goodness, this chat.
Yeah, definitely. Take time to try it out. Find out what kind of questions that you come up with. And remember, even when you're playing with it yourself, you hit the publish button. If you didn't link it up to your school website, nobody knows where it is yet anyway. So feel free to explore. One of the biggest tips that I have for that is, hit your link button so you know what your page looks like, and paste it into the incognito browser. And to do that, if you're on a PC, there's usually 3 dots over here. When you click on them, one of the dots says something about incognito mode. If you're on the Mac, I go up to File menu and drop down, and like the third choice is new incognito window. I like the incognito because then you're not signed in. You see how it looks like to the outside world if people aren't signed in at all. And you can see if anything says, oh, request permission, then I got to go back to my drive and either move that file into some place where it's accessible to the public, or just at least right click and change the sharing on that one document. All right, did anyone else have any other questions? All right, well, hopefully you guys found it helpful. We're here to help out. Feel free to send an email, or if you have any questions, maybe like someone suggested here, maybe at the end of next week, maybe we'll do a question and answer for sites, for things that come up, and maybe Drive, so we can help you out with things that might have come up. And really, like I said, we just try to be here to help out. And I want to thank you guys for joining us this morning. Hope everyone stays healthy, enjoy some of the nice weather. It looks like it's becoming a nice day outside there. And hopefully we'll be able to get to see everyone again soon. I just don't know when.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Oh, sure thing. Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. And thanks to Kelly and Eileen for manning the chat room. We appreciate your help there.
Thanks, Bill. Nice job.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, hopefully everyone has a nice day. Thanks again, Kelly and Eileen, for your help with the chat. I'll probably talk to you guys a little later on.
That sounds great. Thanks, Bill. You did a
All
great
right.
job.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, see you later.
Yes, sure thing.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
I'm trying to check the back.